Good morning. We're going to work on our Latin today. So you should have already read through the directions in the email that I sent. And have your cards ready. We're going to do a quick game. And then I'm going to go over a couple of pages. And then I want you to pause the video and you're going to rewatch the video from last week to follow along in Time for a Bath. Just to kind of get the order of the words and the way the sentence is structured in your mind. And I want you to try to say it along with them if you can, as if we were reading aloud in class. And then after you do that, you will come back to this video and we will listen to A Visit to the Doctor, which is on page 50, and keep going. So you had a lot of words from this week, words to help. From last week. This week you won't have quite as many words, so should be able to get a lot of them in. If you are struggling to remember these words after working on them, or you feel like the pace is going too quickly, let me know, because we can pause. We don't have to actually finish the book this term. You could always work on it during the summer. We could come back to it next year. So send me a text or an email if you're like, we don't even know what's going on in Latin. We need to go back and review. It's much better to go slowly than it is just to work through the book and hurry up and finish it. So if you have your cards ready, what I want you to do is have the cards with the English word side up. And just the cards from last week, that's all. So hopefully you can get all those together. If you need to pause the video to make sure you just have the words from last week, do so. And then what I'm going to do is call out the English word and the Latin word, excuse me, and you're going to pick up the English word. So I'll review that again. So what I'm going to do is call out the Latin word and you're going to choose the English meaning, the English translation for that word. Okay, so pause the video if you need to gather your cards together and then come back and we'll play. Oh, and if you don't have cards and you just have your words on a sheet of paper, like you've been keeping a list of them, then you'll just have to call out the word, and then check it on your paper. So kind of cover up the Latin words, call it out, and then do a quick check to see if you got it correct. And I'll also tell you if you got it correct or not. I'll tell you the correct word. Okay. So let's begin. Cum amicus. Cum amicus. Actually, I just called out the Latin, didn't I? Yeah, and you are to choose. Okay. I've been sick. My brain's a little fuzzy, so I apologize if I'm saying things crazy. That was what was supposed to happen. I was going to call out the Latin. You were going to choose the English. So let's try that one more time. Cum amicus. And hopefully you chose with friends. The amicus part should have given you a clue. We learned that one a while back. So good job. Next one. Exeunt. Exeunt. It's kind of an odd one, isn't it? So if you chose they are undressing, that would be good. Exeunt. They are undressing. Radiant. Radiant. So choose the English translation for that you have face up. You have the English face up. You could have chosen or should have chosen they are scraping their skin. It's another one of those very short words that have a very long translation. I always think those are funny. Radiant. They are scraping their skin. Hilaritor. Hilaritor. Cheerfully. Hopefully you chose cheerfully. What little word is in there, root word, that could help us understand this might be cheerfully? If you thought of hilarious, then you were correct. Okay, next word. Pueri. Pueri. This also has a little root word in it that would help us to know what the meaning is, the translation of it. Hopefully you chose clean. So what little word can you hear in there, pueri, that kind of has a similar meaning of clean? So if you said pure, that is correct. Good job. Okay, next word. Recumbent. Recumbent. So they are lying down. They are lying down. Another short word for a long translation on that. Next one. Ooh, Summergunt. Summergunt. So they plunge underwater. Summergunt. They plunge underwater. Well done. Next word. In apoditerio. That's a hard one to say for me. In apoditerio. So that one would be in the changing room. In the changing room. So if you play sports, or maybe you were on a summer swim team or a swim team, a lot of these would actually make sense to you, and you could use them as you were describing your time at the pool, because you have to be in the changing room and you're playing. You plunge underwater. You're clean, sorta clean when you get out of the pool. You're with friends. So a lot of these would be relatable if you go to the pool to do any kind of swim team or swimming, even if you just go to swim. Okay, our next word. Garient. Garient. They are chatting. They are chatting. Next one. In tepidario. In tepidario. So that short little word in kind of gives us hints on some of these, doesn't it? So in the warm room, and actually this has a root word in it too that means warm, not hot or cold, but warm, and that root word is tepid. Tepid means that it's just kind of a lukewarm, not real hot, not real cold. In tepidario, in the warm room. Okay, we have a few more. Let's keep going. Prudenter. Prudenter. So skillfully. Hopefully you chose skillfully. There's a root word in there too, prudent. And prudent means kind of wisely choosing. So wise and skillful, wisely choosing, being skillful in what you do, kind of has some similar meaning in there. Oh, this one. Hopefully this is not you. Segnator. Segnator. What is the English translation for segnator? Lazily. Lazily. We don't ever want somebody saying that about us, but occasionally we all are, aren't we? And this is one that my daughter Abigail always wonders, why do we have to learn this? So, ankylli, ankylli. Slave girls. Yep, slave girls. She's asking me that, and I tell her that, well, I don't know, maybe she's my slave. What do you think? Do you ever feel like a slave to your parents? The next one is litai. Litai. Happy. Happy. That's the one you want somebody to say about you. Happy. Litai. Okay, next one. Incaldario. Incaldario. In the hot room. In the hot room. You know what a cauldron is? A cauldron is a very large pot over a hot fire, and usually has a super, sometimes in stories about witches, they have something brewing in there in a cauldron. So that might help you remember in the hot room, because it's usually over fire. Just a couple more and then we'll be finished in this with this. Let's see. Did I do brevitor? Let's do brevitor. Hopefully you chose for a short time. Yep, for a short time. And I'm trying to think. That may be all. If I missed one, why don't you choose it and figure out what the Latin word is for that one. So let's go on to grasp the grammar. I'm just going to review that and see how well you did. Below there, the 5 sentences, you're supposed to copy them out. You didn't really have to write them. You could just say them and fill them in. But you were supposed to choose an adverb, okay, a verb which describes a word that describes the action, okay, kind of how something is done. And in Latin, they will end in ter. So all of the ones up above that you saw in ter were adverbs. Hear that little word verb in there that helps you know it. Adverb, it adds to the verb. It helps the verb to make more sense, to have more clarity and understanding. So you were to choose 5 to finish out the sentences here. And I looked up this one, current, for a vibrissa et minimus blank current, and could not find it in our book. I don't know where they came up with that one as far as a vocabulary for us, but I did look it up in my book, and it means to run. And if you have remembered that, I just don't remember this. So you guys probably have a better memory than I do. I've looked back, but I couldn't find it. Current, they, vibrissa and minimus have segnator current, lazily run, and you can choose your own. So I just wanted you to hear some that maybe I chose. How about lepidina et Flavia, and let's see, prudenter, want to skillfully run. Pandora et Corinthus, laborant, and how about hilaritor? They're cheerfully working. That's a good way to be. Romani et Britanni, and let's see, what do I want to choose here? Brevitor, pugnant, brevitor, pugnant. And lepidina et Flavia, or Flavia was what we say, even though they had the long line over it. They're going to quickly, so which one is quickly? You know, I have to learn these too. How about, is it ferocator? No, that's fiercely in it, but that works too. Ferocator. Okay. So before we begin the next lesson, if you want to read the Roman report, and right below the Roman report, there's a kind of a matching game, so you can figure out, try to remember what room is which, and then 2 little questions to answer. What cold object does frigidarium remind you of? Hopefully it's something you haven't been going to too frequently in your home. Sometimes I feel like ours is opening and closing all day. And what temperature is tepid water, which we just went over, so hopefully you remember that. And then you can also look at Minimus visits the bath, and it just kind of shows you a picture of what a bath would look like. So pause the video, do the Roman report on page 48, work through that, and then turn the video back on, and we're going to listen to a visit to the doctor. A visit to the doctor. And all your work that you're going to do today after this is you're going to translate boxes 1 and 2. You're going to write them in Latin, close the book, and put them in English. You can look at the words to help. You're going to write your words to help on your Latin cards to keep. And then you can work on next week you're going to do page 51 and 52 on Tuesday or whenever you do your next lesson. And just kind of read through those and go back over the words to remember. So I will want you to pause the video, and then when you come back, I should have this ready to go. I got it up this time before, so I wasn't trying to figure it out while you were, while we were doing this. Okay, pause your video.
A visit to doctor. When Lepidina and Flowia get home, they find Flavius in a terrible mood. He has sore red eyes. Lepidina takes him off to the doctor.
Salve.
Salve. Salvete.
Flavius explains that his eyes are sore. The doctor wants to examine them.
Venite. Sedete. Discumbe. Oculos appelli.
The doctor examines Flavius's eyes. He has an infection and will need an ointment and some pills.
Impone ter pediem. Consume bis pediem. Gratias agimus.
Okay, so if you need to rewind the video, oops, let me stop this. If you need to rewind the video and read it again, a bunch of these words we've actually had in the past, so this is a good chance for us to remember. Salve, salvete, venite, sedete. These are all words that we've had in the past, and so the first two are going to be super easy for you to translate. Again, next week do page 51 and 52, but also translate the last 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, number 4, you don't really even have a translation, so don't worry about it. But 3, 4, 5, and 6, you can use the words to help and go over your Latin cards again. We'll play another kind of game next week for your video.